Diversity.
Live long and prosper, and welcome to Infinite Diversity, a Star Trek Universe podcast, now part of the BQN Podcast Collective. Listeners, you may have noticed that there have been some changes around here, and that does include us at Infinite Diversity, and it does include Brandon as well. People have had some questions about where he's been, and he is here to address them right now. Brandon, go ahead.
Hey guys, how's it going? Just a quick little announcement here as an update. I know I've had a few people asking where I've been and what's been going on and whatnot. I've had a bit of turmoil in my life. My work-life balance has been a little bit out of control lately. So back in the middle of March, I kind of stepped away from doing some podcasting. I know that I've had a few franchise fatigue episodes that have been released in the meantime, but those were all actually recorded way back in February. And we had those released early. But since this kind of turmoil at work, I actually have been doing no podcasting. And at this point, I can't see myself coming back anytime soon. Zach and I have talked about franchise fatigue, and I'll be putting that on hiatus until at least the new year. Same with my Hitchcock podcast. It's going to be at least until the new year here to like just get everything sorted out with what's going on with my work-life balance. So I'm going to step away from this show, and I'm going to be handing the reins completely over to Chrissie and Thad. And I probably won't be back, but there are multiverses out there, and maybe I'll come back once or twice for a guest spot here or there. So,
you are always welcome.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
But yeah, I am always welcome. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thad, it's been kind of nuts, hey, having you come in at this time here. We've had some craziness going on, but you know, I think we've got a good host to fill the shoes here, and I think you're doing a great job. I've been listening along while you've been away, and
I try.
And I listened to Chrissie to your episode today from the panel in Chicago, and it was really good.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so
fun.
Yeah, I bet it was. So that's always the kind of thing that I was hoping to do, is to get on some more panels and stuff. But there's just not enough conventions up here in Canada. Anywho, well, I did just want to just disappear without saying anything to the listeners here. So, because it's been fun, but keep in mind, I've been doing this for 7 years now too, which is a pretty long time to be talking about Star Trek. So I'm going to be wrapping up the Hitchcock podcast. There's only 4 more episodes to do with that one, and I'm going to be completely done with that. And then there's franchise fatigue, and I'll have to see how I'm feeling. We have our first Jurassic Park episode recorded. We just haven't edited it, and we're going to release it later. So, but anyways, so thanks, guys.
Yeah, I have to say thank you, because you brought me into this in the first place over with the line. So you know, I am eternally
do you mean the artificial
appreciative
tango?
of that. Yeah, that too. But if should listeners have any doubt as to the dedication you have had to this type of thing and the amount of work you put into things, we all must remember that Brandon was the only one who went through the entirety of Star Trek for the 50th anniversary year. So if there was ever any doubt, or if you are wondering to yourself, why is it that he's so overstressed with this stuff? It's because he does things like that.
I do,
which is wonderful to listen to, but I can't imagine what it was like doing. So, yeah.
You know, my
Not
goal
to make
on that
light
one,
of.
yeah, that's gone. You know, they've deleted that from the Trek FM feed. It's gone.
Oh,
can you believe that?
Sucks.
But out of the 365 episodes, my goal was to talk about at least one episode from every single season of Star Trek, which I did, and at least one movie, which I did from each of the series, including the Kelvin timeline and whatnot. And I was struggling hard to try and beat Mike Schindler, and I think I at the end of it, I was on more episodes than Mike Schindler. So
yeah,
and he was the guy that started it all. So that was my introduction. Trial by Kuna Califi, I guess, or something like that. So, my introduction to being a podcaster.
A fire of warp plasma.
Yeah.
But anyway, listeners, so I don't think ill of Brandon for any of this,
or think ill of me, because you know what? Honestly, I haven't been loving season 2 of Picard. It's been fine.
Why do you hate Star Trek, Brandon?
It's been fine. She's eating car batteries. Like, really? She's eating car
Yeah.
batteries?
It's funny.
We just talked
As
about
we
that.
were watching, as we were, we talked about that. Also, there was at one point where I said, "I'm sure Brandon has lots of thoughts about this."
Which one was that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what were we talking about at that point?
It might have been the car battery. I don't remember.
Might-
Oh no, we were talking about the Vulcans,
That's right.
the Vulcans and the transporters and all that.
Yeah.
Oh, like
Yep.
the Vulcans I didn't have a problem with. I just don't understand why they didn't take the Mistral reference, but I don't know. It was fine to see the Vulcans. I didn't have a problem with that. So we know Vulcans are there.
Okay, fair
so,
enough.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's just kind of
Oh,
disappointing
wait.
that they didn't do it.
We're tricking you into talking about the episode. Just keep going.
I've been enjoying the season. You know what? I'm going to say right here, because this is a little fun. I am actually loving Adam Soong until this last episode. Like that episode where he hit Picard. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can feel this guy's pain and I can feel this guy's arc. And I can feel that and believe that this guy is doing this for his daughter. And now that he just turned into a mustache twirling dude who's like, I really care about my work more than my kids. I'm just like, oh man, that's just sad. Like, I don't know. I was really enjoying his arc up until the last episode there. So.
I feel like in this case, it's because Corey left that he's like, well, I have nothing else to lose. I might as well.
But she looked at him and she's like, tell me what's more important, me or your work? Or I'm paraphrasing her sentence there.
Yeah.
Right. And he didn't answer her. And it's like, no, man, no. Because the previous episode or 2 episodes ago, when you hit Picard, you did that for your daughter. You were backed into a corner by Q. That's why you did that. And now that he's just cares more about his work than the girl, I don't buy that he did what he did by hitting Picard. But I don't know. We got 2 more episodes. We'll see what happens. So
I have to thank you, Brendan, as one of your last official acts on this podcast for bringing me on as a co-host. So,
hey, you're welcome.
And I hope to, hear you again in the future.
Is this when I get to complain that you're just a bunch of cis white people? Cis-het white people? Where's the diversity? Where's the diversity? Now that I'm no longer part of the show, I can complain that you guys aren't diverse enough.
We love and miss you, Brandon, but we understand.
Live long and prosper, guys.
Live long and prosper.
Giddy up. That better be Pike's news things. It better be giddy up.
It won't be.
All right. Well, we are all going to miss Brandon, but we completely understand. And Brandon, we hope that things calm down for you as soon as they can. And we'll be looking forward to those new episodes of Franchise Fatigue and Hitchcock and all the rest. And I'm sure you're going to come up with some fun stuff in the future. And we'll be here listening. And in the meantime, we have a new episode of Picard to talk about. So, Thad, my co-host, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm just chowing down on some car batteries to get some power. But other than that, I'm all right. How are you?
Sounds good. Sounds, that's a quick power boost. Batteries, that makes sense. Yeah.
So how are you today, Chrissy?
Oh, I'm doing all right. I'm finding that it's really difficult to not get assimilated, but we're gonna do our best in that context. Well, we're just gonna jump right into our topic today, which was quite a heavy episode of Picard called Mercy. So, Thad, first thoughts, first impressions about this episode.
I mean, I still wish he had been the guy from the Voyager episode, but
yeah, yeah.
Trek has reused actors many times, and it's fine. Like, I mean, Armin Shimmerman play like 3 different Ferengi, so it's okay. But
yeah, and a box.
That's true. But there were so many things about the specifics of the previous character he had played. But regardless, I thought this worked really well. I do wonder how many times Vulcans have visited Earth. Are they just like hanging out here all the time? Do like Vulcans on spring break go to visit Earth? I don't know.
Kind of like Vulcan Rumspringa or something.
But hey, you were right about Q.
Oh.
he
Well, I
got
don't.
the summons, but he had to walk or draw or get an Uber or whatever, but he couldn't
Mm-hmm.
appear. So you were right.
Yes, credit to Nikki and Dominic. We were talking about that over supper before we recorded last week. So, yeah. I think that is funny that, and they weren't like explicit about it either. He just finally got there,
Hmm.
you know.
This episode had a lot to it, and I appreciate how much it has added to the process. We're getting very, very curious what the final showdown is going to look like at this point. But
Yeah.
I, no, I enjoyed the episode. I want more, and let's dive into it.
Agreed. Yeah, I thought this was a very full episode as well. It's we're like you say, we're ramping up, and you know, some seasons you can kind of figure out where stuff is going to fall,
Hmm.
and other seasons it's just like I don't know. And this is one like I have some ideas of where certain things might fall, but I don't know. What do you do with a dying Q? And what's happening with the rest of the continuum? That's the other thing that I'm curious about. But anyway, so we could just start right at the beginning with our basement interrogation with Agent Mulder. Oh, wait, I mean Agent Wells. Yeah, so very much nobody down here but the FBI's most unwanted vibes, isn't there?
Yeah, that was. I mean, that was clearly an X-Files reference. I mean,
Oh,
that
it
was great.
was. It was beautiful. Just you're in the basement of an FBI field office, and things get lost down here. And now some aliens are lost down here. And I just, as I said last week, could have been David Duchovny playing that role. I think it's good that they didn't, because that would have been a little too on the nose. But it would have been fun to have somebody like Mitch Pileggi, the guy that played Skinner, or
Or that guy who replaced Mulder in the last season.
oh yeah,
Well,
that
the
would have worked.
last
That would have
season
been
of the original
subtle,
broadcast. I mean,
right? Yeah.
I
But
can't even.
anyway,
I
I
can't
think
remember the
that
actor
was.
or the character's name for that, which tells you how much I cared about him. But
You're not talking about Doggett. You're talking about the other one, right?
no, I am talking about Doggett.
Doggett. Okay. Yeah. All right. Anyway, that's for a different podcast. I did like that little homage. I think there's a lot of us from the '90s who were watching both TNG and DS9 and Voyager and X Files at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And you know, they connect. They connect in that way. The music shifted a little bit when he started talking about his story, which we'll get into in a bit. But it had a little touch of X-Files to it, and then coming back it was Star Trek-y, and I don't usually pay attention to music with that type of attentiveness, but it caught my ear, as it were. Okay, so they are in this FBI basement, and he is absolutely certain that they are aliens. Guinan laughs in his face. Picard says, I can say with absolute certainty, I am not an alien, which I thought was beautiful.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, but he's also not technically human anymore.
Well, anymore. But, I mean, he can say he was born in France, and that's perfectly true. So, of human parents. Yeah.
I like how they managed, they tracked down everything, like, because they even have Rios's, they'll never believe me statement from when he was detained by ICE. I liked that.
I love that, because you had no concept that they were, he obviously wasn't writing that down, but of course that's going to be full of recording equipment somewhere like that. Just, yeah. So that's beautiful. I feel like this was a bit of a CIA black site allegory kind of thing. And I might be reading a little more into it than necessary, but given the other political commentary that we've had this season and the last 50 some odd years, I feel like that's what it's supposed to be, because they can just be disappeared, and there's
Star Trek has never been political. What are you talking about?
No, not at all. Not at all. Those people with the black and white faces, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They were just people with black and white faces. I don't see the connection to anything that happened on Earth.
Mm-mm.
I liked the whole situation that we had there with Wells. I thought I mean, he played it exactly the way you would expect a character who has been through this to, like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they are doing a lot of suspicious stuff. So, like, without knowing the details, it certainly does look like they're trying to sabotage the Europa mission.
Yeah. Yeah, and you don't even really have to. I feel like you don't have to go the alien route with that either. You have a group of people like that just crashing that kind of a party
Mhm.
and not getting caught by security in the first place. You
Yeah.
know, that just feels like a good old fashioned, I don't know, John Grisham or Tom Clancy or something. Doesn't have to be aliens, but then of course, Agent Wells has his suspicions
Yes.
from his own personal experience. All right, so we'll come back to the basement when we come back to it in the episode. But then we go on to Raffi and Seven, who are looking for Girardi.
Yes.
And they find her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's chewing on batteries.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
the lithium batteries, well, no, it was the lithium battery from the cell phone. The cars wouldn't, most of them wouldn't have lithium batteries. Some of them could, but most of them would
I
have
have
been
no
like
idea.
lead acid.
Okay.
But I guess the power in general is what she needs, which
Yeah.
continues to support the, like, my belief that the Borg Queen at the beginning is actually Girardi, because what she said was she needed power.
This one took me out of it for a minute.
Okay.
Because okay, I can rationalize, all right, the Borg Queen has taken over and the Borg Queen knows exactly what kind of pressure to put on a set of handcuffs to break them, that you don't necessarily need to be super strong.
Okay.
The Borg Queen can direct Girardi's body to pick somebody up and almost strangle them without necessarily having the physical power behind it. Okay. I cannot figure out how it is that the mind of the Borg Queen is allowing Girardi's still human at this point body to process battery acid and metal. You know?
Okay, so my thought process on this is that it's not just the Borg Queen's mind, that there are actual Borg nanoprobes in her doing Borg things.
I guess there would have to be, yeah. Yeah. It's like, all right, I get it. That's how she's shifting over, but that's a little... Like, I don't know, you expect to see, like, a couple teeth missing at that point, maybe. Because the Borg aren't going to be worried about that. But, yeah, you don't want to do that anyway.
The black eyes is very creepy.
Oh, that is... Speaking of X-Files, right? But, yeah, that was nice, because I think we're going to be seeing that in the next few episodes, the next 2 episodes, to indicate shifts back and forth. And I think that's going to be something that they'll use, to try to...
I did like that we did get that very brief shift back into Agnes for a second or two.
Yeah.
Which means they're gonna... I mean, what they'll certainly try to do is appeal to Agnes to try to get through to her. We'll see if that actually works.
Yeah. And I think it's possible. I mean, I think both Seven and Picard have enough personal experience with that to know, I guess, which buttons to push, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think I think you're right, but I think it's going to be a failure in the end. I think she's going to be just taken over. So we might get Guinan back reminding Picard that it's better to kill somebody than to allow them to be assimilated.
Well, I mean, Picard also knows that all too well, but...
Oh, true, yeah. Yeah. Why did I think that was Guinan? Oh, whatever, okay.
Well, Guinan may have said that, but Picard has said that in First Contact.
Right.
Yeah, believe me, you'd be doing them a favor and all that.
Yeah. I thought that was Guinan. I mean, I knew the other. I thought Guinan said it too. Not important. Okay. I love the heavy-duty boots with the dress.
Yeah!
At some point, she just took somebody's boots.
That happened to fit? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome.
The shoes that go with that dress wouldn't have worked for running across car hoods.
No, or anything, really, because
Right.
shoes that go with dresses like that are really only good to sit down in, quite frankly. But speaking as somebody who spent a good chunk of her life in Timberland hiking boots, I get it. Much more comfortable. So Girardi collects this, all of the pieces of metal, bits of battery, acid, internal parts of batteries, whatever it is.
And she almost kills Rafi.
Yeah. So there is a split second where I think Rafi was as good as dead, and then Girardi managed to assert herself for a moment.
Yeah, the eyes went back to normal for a sec.
Yeah, and then convince the Borg Queen that it was better to just go to whatever the next thing was going to be. I thought it was really interesting how they figured out where she was headed by using the cell phone. That the search history on the cell phone was for Dr. Soong. So that was pretty cool.
Yes. I mean, it makes sense that she would go to Soong, because she knows that Soong has been working against Picard, and the Borg Queen would know all about Soong from Data. And it makes perfect sense, and it also means that we continue to have Soong be a player in this.
Yes, yeah, and it's lining up for all of his reasons.
Mm-hmm.
While we're doing that, though, and we'll come back to Soong, her and Soong, and that about to be serious insanity, I think. Raffi and Seven have a moment of, what's a good word for it? Blatant honesty in the midst of trying to deal with this stuff. Do you think Raffi's a manipulator?
Somewhat, yes. I don't think she's necessarily deliberately trying to be, but I think yes. Because I think we all are to one extent or another, though.
That's true. I think it's a matter of degree, maybe, and method.
I mean, if there's anyone out there who can honestly say they've never said one particular thing in the hopes of eliciting another particular reaction from someone, they're lying.
I agree that she's a manipulator. I think it comes out of her need for control of an issue.
Right.
Which it often does anyway. But I think it's worse with her, particularly when she was talking about Elnor. Elnor, she's guilting Elnor not because of Elnor.
Yeah.
That's about her son.
When she tells Elnor that he should stay in Starfleet, yes, that was absolutely 100% manipulation there.
Yeah, and I think she was conscious of that. I don't think that was subtle or subconscious. Excuse me. What was going on with Seven? I don't think that was necessarily conscious when she was saying like, "Oh, you got it figured out," or whatever she was going to say that Seven cut her off.
That said, even with Elnor, though, I think she was at least being honest with him. Like, I don't think, like, if he had then said, no, I am going back to Vashti, I don't think she would have, like, stopped him. No. I think she was just putting it out on the table that she needs him to stay in Starfleet Academy for her own reasons. But, yeah. Like, it didn't feel... Because there's manipulation, and then there's, manipulation where you're presenting something as differently than it actually is in a way to convince someone to do something. And I think in that case, she was being honest with him that she personally needs / wants him to stay.
Yeah.
And I think that makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's still manipulative, but it's not like, evil manipulative.
I like that. Not evil manipulative. It kind of reminded me of like the old trope of, how come you're not coming over for dinner with your mother, or your mother's here sitting all alone and I need somebody to have dinner with, or something like that. That's not the great example, but, how to put this? I think if Raffi was able to reconcile some of the issues she has with her son and about her prior relationships that are manifesting themselves with Seven, I think that a lot of that would be alleviated. Because if she could have a better relationship with her son, then she wouldn't feel the need to apply that to Elnor. And I can't remember, not even in the books, in the one book, did we get a lot of detail about her son's father. And we know they divorced, but I can't remember the rest.
Yeah,
I think it was over.
I think that's all we know, really.
I want to say it was over her involvement with the Romulan resettlement, though.
Oh, I never actually finished the first Picard novel, the Una McCormick one. They may have talked about it there.
Bad. That's okay. I haven't finished listening to the audio drama either. Yeah, so I think as we learn more about Raffi, as the character grows, I think she's going to be hopefully less manipulative. Subconscious or not, And I think her relationship with Seven is going to help with that.
I think so,
because Seven will call her on it, as she did.
Yes.
And
Seven is very good at calling people on bullshit, which is excellent.
It's important to have somebody like that in your life. You need that. Everyone needs that. Not just like to make sure you're not manipulating people, but just in general, like, hey, do you really think that's a good idea of something to do?
Yep.
So, speaking of which, that brings us right into our next point, which is Kore, because she does not have anyone in her life to do that.
No, but she's going to be that person for Sung.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So,
now, speaking of manipulation, Kore is clearly being manipulated by Q.
Oh, yes.
But that said, you can't blame her. When she finds out that basically Sung has been lying to her whole life and is controlling her, and I felt good for her when she walked away. She's like, if you try to stop me, I'll call the cops. I'm like, yes. That was great.
Yeah. And that was a very important thing that they added when she said that, because I'm looking at that and going, she has no ID. Doubt she has a social security number or the equivalent. Okay. She has no money. She literally left her shoes. Yeah. Yeah. So if she were to walk into a police station and say, I have been held captive since I was a small child, I don't exist in the world, and here's my story, that's the only way she's going to be able to get out there and get functional in society, because otherwise she's got to stay underground, or figuratively speaking. But yeah, that was my first thought with that, is how is she going to function? And then, of course, he says, you're nothing without me, and that has a bit with the, if she has no money and no ID and no anything. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Sung is also manipulative, as we have seen.
Yeah. No question there.
See, and there I was talking about the differences between being manipulative and being evil manipulative. Sung is evil manipulative. Raffi is...
Yes, he is.
Neutral manipulative?
Yeah, neutral to the larger scale of humanity, let's say that.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, I was kind of going like D&D alignments there.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Chaotic neutral, yes. So, Q gets into the program. I wouldn't even begin to... Without his Q abilities, he knows that she's going to turn on a 3D program in order to explore the lab, and so
that was convenient for him that she did that.
I mean, I guess you could, if you knew what was going on, you could look at that and say, okay, she's going to investigate further, so maybe he just put it in no matter how she would investigate. So vis-a-vis Q still being able to do a lot of things despite having no powers,
Alex Perry on Twitter did a whole thread where he was like yelling at the people who are complaining about Picard, which I enjoyed.
I saw that. That was beautiful, yeah.
One of the things he did was he mentioned that all these people complaining that Q seems to have a lot of power for someone who has no powers. don't you remember Deja Q where he was still very much the smartest person in the room? Like he still
Yeah.
knows everything he knew as a Q, which is everything. Uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, he can still do a lot. But
Yeah.
yes, it was very convenient for him that she did pick up that headset. Although I wondered, did he like bury messages in a whole bunch of other things in case she did something else?
See, that's what I'm
Like she
thinking. Is
opens
that
the refrigerator and Q shows up, and Q's face is like on the milk carton or something.
okay? That image, and then yeah, that's beautiful. But what that brought to mind was the Armin Shimmerman box again, but on the side of a milk carton, the same kind of effect. Yeah. Uh, yeah, see, this is what we do as Trekkies. We overthink it.
I spend all day thinking too much about Star Trek. It is why I am on this podcast.
Exactly. The other thing about Corey is that she's not been socialized with other people. I don't know. I suppose Soong could have created like quasi holographic, because it's not holographic yet, but like the 3D Oculus thing to, give her social cues, give her social information. Maybe it's, I don't know, that's something you can program in to a person, but it makes her very data-like in her interactions. So we're going to see, I think, a lack of understanding of
well, I think
socialization.
that just comes from her spending her whole life in Soong's basement.
Right, that's what I'm saying, is that she's like, she has this freedom, but has nothing to actualize it with. Like, yep, she can go outside, she can leave her shoes behind, but then has Q created an instance where she's going to be able to actually function? And I don't think so. I think she's going to have to find him and then go from there.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Oculus, because yeah, it basically was interesting. The like actual headset was a Microsoft Glass, I think is what they call it, which is
cool.
this Microsoft's augmented reality headset thing, because everyone has one these days.
Well, you said there was a Surface. We saw a Surface somewhere in there, so I'm sure they got money from Microsoft, or vice versa.
Yeah, Microsoft HoloLens is what it's called.
Okay.
But yes, there was a Microsoft Surface. Yes. We've had, yeah, I mean, they do product placement and they can easily do it now that it's almost our time.
Yeah, and I was surprised to see nobody drinking a Coca-Cola.
I think Corey is going to be, they're going to meet up with Corey, and she's going to help, like, our heroes are going to meet up with Corey, and she's going to help them defeat Soong and the Borg Queen.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that didn't even occur to me. I guess that shows you how focused I was on other stuff. Of course, that's how it's going to work. Interesting. The other thing about Corey, and the fact that I thought about this, maybe why I didn't think of what you just said with actually she's going to be of help to Picard and the rest. This feels like a Marvel-style supervillain origin story.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like you could totally see that. I don't know what to.
But it could also be a Marvel-style superhero origin story too.
That's true.
Now, Girardi feels like the typical Marvel MCU movie villain.
Yeah, no, that's true. I hadn't thought about that. I like that that idea. But of course, we don't do the superhero and supervillain here. But yeah, that's definitely, there's some darkness in both of those. Let's talk about Rios and what appears to be his new family. We've touched on this every week now since we met them. Do you think Rios is staying, or Teresa and her son are going?
One of those two things is happening.
I
think yes. We are not setting up a situation where Rios is going back to the future and leaving them behind. Either they are going with him or he is staying with them, and I think he is staying with them.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the case. So
there's been some speculation on the timeline on that. We were talking with we both, I think, had an exchange with a listener on Twitter about the confusingness of the timeline. And yeah, if Rios stays, everything that he did in the 24th and 25th century before going back in time would still be there. It
Yeah.
just would, yeah. And the way we've generally looked at time travel in Star Trek is we don't care about how it changes the future of the main characters from the point where they go back in time.
So, yeah, I think you're right. I think Rios is going to be staying. I think what we have here is, what did they call it in Trials and Tribulations? The it's not a temporal causality loop, because that's the thing from Cause and Effect, but it's like a temporal...
A temporal predestination paradox was what they...
Yes, that!
You're talking about the Bashir thing where he was convinced he should be his own grandfather? He's like, I can't wait to see the look on your face when we get back to DS9 and I don't exist.
Not there. Yes. Okay, so that's what I was thinking. I think we can safely say it's not going to be something like that. That takes care of the timeline and...
Okay, hold on.
Life goes on.
What if Rios stays back in time, but then we do find out that he is his own grandfather?
Well, I don't know what to say to that.
We call it the Futurama situation.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I think it's if they were to do that, I think it'd be her son, whose name escapes me, would be the ancestor. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I am terrible at these characters' names. I also do not remember the son's name.
That's okay. I think we only heard it a couple of times. So she said it at him when he ordered the cakes, and now I can't remember.
It is Ricardo.
Ricardo, that's right. Ricardo. Like Ricky. I wonder if that's intentional. As
it's
a
possible.
nod to Lucille Ball. It must be. I can't imagine them picking that if not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was really cute with them with the replicator. And the way he was, the kid, Ricardo, was running around the ship.
I like how 25th century replicators are designed with the humans don't know what they want, so we'll just give them something protocol, as opposed to the 24th century where it's like, which of these 37 kinds of tomato soup do you want?
Yes. I want 4 cakes. Okay. Here's 4 different kinds of cake.
I was mildly disappointed that it didn't give him 4 complete cakes and gave him 4 slices of cake. Like, I kind of wanted it to give him 4, like, whole cakes.
Yeah. And different kinds of cake, too, because there could have been, like, a slice of regular cake, a slice of cheesecake.
It was different kinds of cake. Oh, but yes. That's also true.
An ice cream cake. I know it was different flavors there. But
also, I don't think, like, if I had a machine that could make me cheesecake, I don't think I would ever get any other kind of cake from that machine.
Well, that's you. I'm one of the few people on Earth that doesn't like cheesecake, so I would not be doing that, but that's all right. Grew up with Golden Girls and everything.
That's okay. We can't all be perfect.
Yeah, no, we can't. That's true. Yeah, and I also like that, I feel like the machine's like, okay, we won't give him whole cakes because he's obviously a kid, or something like that.
And later he's like, his stomach hurts and Teresa just turns to Rios and like, this is your fault.
Your fault. They're already acting like, the thing she set up, the whole, like, we've been married for a decade and we don't know each other as well as we used to and blah, blah, blah. I loved that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know
like,
how...
is this your idea of being romantic?
Yeah, it is. It was really cool. And I liked that they went back and forth between English and Spanish. Because, I know bilingual people and they will do that. Mm-hmm. It's just, without even thinking about it. And it was beautiful, So that was cool. One thing, this would have completely interrupted the story, and there's not really a place to put, maybe in the future, in the next 2 episodes, it'll be mentioned, but I have to imagine that Dr. Ramirez, Teresa, has some supply chain issues with her clinic, okay, and getting goods and getting meds and all of that, and to me, the reaction to, you have something that can make cake or whatever food out of thin air, I feel like she should have had a reaction to that more akin to like, oh my God, I can feed the neighborhood with this. I can feed the world with this. I can, replicate the needed medicines and equipment. And so it would have it would have stopped the story, I think, for a moment. But at the same time, I feel like that, and that's the reaction that I feel like she would have had.
Yeah, I think so. But on the other hand, she's seen so many of these things. Like, what's one more future thing? I mean,
That's true. I guess after being transported
mhm.
to a place, yeah, from Los Angeles to France, that too. All right, well, I'll chalk that up to future fatigue or something.
Well, if you ask, the people on the internet who always complain about everything, it's lazy writing.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I'm being facetious because it is
No, I
not
know you
lazy
are.
writing.
I know.
It is,
No,
but
I
that
know you are.
is the favorite complaint
Mm-hmm.
of a critic who has no imagination to actually say anything constructive about what they don't like about the show. They'll just say lazy writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. So Rios is trying to figure out how to make sure that the Borg are not in the computer of La Sirena. He's also trying to do that without actually telling Teresa and Ricardo enough of what's going on, which I understand because
Mhm.
the Borg are scary if you don't know what they are. If you do know what they are,
Yeah.
they're scary. So, so we're gonna come back to that, of course, because we know Girardi is headed for La Sirena with her new drones. The new drones. Do you think those are some of the attempts at super soldiers that Sung was booted out of his
I think
scientific community for?
that was the impression I got. I mean, there were people that Sung was able to call up immediately, so he clearly knew about them and knew. Yeah, my impression is that they are Sung super soldiers.
Yeah, because he
Say
thanked
that five
somebody on the
times fast.
phone, but no, I won't. He thanks somebody on the phone. But I think that's professional courtesy. I think he probably called
Hmm.
up whoever was in charge of the people whose
Yeah.
genome he was manipulating. Yeah. So now we have Borg super soldiers.
Yep, that's gonna be fun.
That may or may not be relevant once they have Borg technology in them, but I feel
Yeah,
like
either
it
way,
should
because the
be.
Borg nanoprobes would make them super strong and fast and whatnot. Anyway, I
Hmm.
don't think we're gonna get I don't think they'll be more powerful than the average Borg, but the average Borg is already pretty darn powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, and that's where the episode leaves off. But I wanted to get back to our FBI agent in
Hmm.
the basement here, because I think that's the most important part of all of this episode. We have confirmation now that Q is dying.
Yes, and it's really hard to try to figure out what exactly Q is doing now because, based on what
Mm-hmm.
he's saying here, yeah, I'm really not sure. I mean, Q is clearly ticked off about the whole situation, and yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
entirely sure. He's mad at Picard too, but he's also he brought Picard here he didn't bring Picard to the past, but he did bring Picard to the Confederation timeline,
Mm-hmm.
and he wants Picard to do something, but Picard's not necessarily doing what he needs him to do. And
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah. The whole I did not bring him into the past. He did that himself.
Hmm.
What was, and this is still the question from the second episode. What was he expecting Picard to do? What was he trying to set up that got undermined by
Yeah,
Picard?
yeah, because what he tells Picard, when he brings him to the Confederation timeline, is the very end of the road not taken, which
Mm-hmm.
implies it's a different timeline. So what was he? Yeah, Picard obviously is going to try to fix that timeline, but
Yeah.
he also says that Picard's escape is what matters, uh, which is also very similar to uh, All Good Things, where it's what Picard when it was the way Picard got out of the temporal paradox that they were destroying the universe with that mattered. So
Yes.
yeah, we'll see. And it makes
Yeah.
sense because he also says the trial never ended at the beginning. So
Again.
yeah,
It's been 25 years, but yeah. Yeah, yeah. I hadn't made the connection with All Good Things, but of course, it's he says when you realize the paradox. Yeah.
Full disclosure, neither had I. As always, before I do this podcast, I read the Trek Core recap, and I always find a
Ah.
whole bunch of things that I missed.
And that works out well because I avoid reading reviews prior to this. So one of us should. So Q visits Guinan. We find out that the summoning is some kind of sacred ritual. So, like, I want more information on this interaction between the Elolorians and the Q. Because,
Yes.
yeah. Oh, and then, it's going back to Girardi for a moment. Again, somebody on Twitter, and I don't know who it was, so forgive me, I'd call you out if I knew, said about how the Borgs probably got the ability to sense the space-time continuum.
That was also Alex Perry.
That was also Alex. Okay, so from when they assimilated the Elorians, and that,
Yes.
when I read that, I was like, oh, chills, raise all the hair on my arms.
Because the Borg assimilate the Elorians at the beginning of Star Trek Generations.
Right. And probably can be assumed that they've run into some of them prior to that at some point, so...
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also,
Like
I guess
the Seventh
Guinan
Parents.
says that's what happened in Q Who, too.
Yeah, because she says she wasn't there, but she heard about it. Anyway.
But there are Elorian refugee ships from the destruction of their...
Yes, that's exactly it. And that always bothered me. I remember as a child saying, why aren't they telling the Federation what's going on? Because then they would know about the Borg. And that was never satisfactorily answered for me, or anyone.
Yeah, well, Starfleet actually knew about the Borg going all the way back to the 22nd century. They just apparently forgot.
Yeah, well, that one instance can be covered up like the Discovery, so I'm not going to quibble on that one. So, all humans are trapped in the past. Speaking as an historian, yeah, we are.
It's true.
History rhymes. All humans are trapped in... And the way Q says that, too, with such anger. You know...
We exist there.
Yes. Okay. So this is one of the reasons I left this part for the end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought it was very interesting how Guinan, like, shows herself to Picard. The bloody nose thing, I just was like, are we all doing that since Stranger Things? That's just how you know. Actually, that's an X-Files callback too, come to think of it, but...
I mean, it's been, before Stranger Things, it was just a sign that a character is about to die, so...
That's true.
Or has a terminal illness. That's
true.
Bloody noses in movies always meant terminal illness.
Yes. Unless you'd been punched.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Right. So we get the story of Wells and the Vulcans. Right.
Yes. Which, means that we have another case of Vulcans being on Earth, because Wells is not old enough for them to be the 1957 Vulcans.
No, I would say that was probably in the...
70s or 80s.
Yeah. Late 80s, maybe even early 90s, depending on... Did he say how old? He said how old he was, didn't he?
I don't think he's quite that young either. The actor, I think, is in his late 50s, early 60s. So...
Okay. So, okay, yeah, so, you know, and I was placing it in the 90s because it looked like X-Files. Again. X-Files.
I mean, I'm just thinking the character looks older than that, so that's on.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
Either way, it means
works.
more Vulcans on Earth. There are probably Vulcans walking around right now, and we have no idea.
Yeah. Shaking their heads going, what is wrong with these people?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did see there were people who were complaining about that, and we talked about because Alex had that thread where that came up.
Yeah, people were complaining about the use of the transporter, which, okay, we never saw Vulcans use a transporter on Enterprise. That's true. But they never said they didn't. They never said they didn't have a transporter. It was never established. There is a whole bunch of stuff that people want to believe is canon because it was in some non-canonical reference book from the 80s or whatever, because there's a lot of those.
Yeah,
that humans invented the transporter and the other species got it from them. Well, Enterprise never shows the Vulcans using a transporter, which is true.
Mhm.
But we do see the one instance that I can think of off the top of my head. There's probably others. We do see the Klingons use a transporter
Mhm.
in I've forgotten the episode title, but it's the one that's basically the Magnificent Seven, where the Klingons are like extorting this planet for their mind ore, and Enterprise
Yeah,
helps
I
them
know the
fight
one
them
you're
off.
talking. I can't think of the name either.
Anyway, the Klingons
Yeah.
use a transporter in that episode, which proves that other species had a transporter. Also, there's the episode Dead Stop with the automated repair
Yeah.
station that's actually using people's brains. That uses a transporter too. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Just because we never saw the Vulcans use a transporter doesn't mean they don't have one. They may just, for a whole host of reasons, generally prefer to land their ships and do other things.
Mhm.
That said, that if this is the 20th century, then there weren't a lot of Vulcans that were using mind melds at that period. But
Mhm.
you could almost see that as a like an emergency situation. We got to wipe the mind of this kid. This isn't something we would
Yeah.
normally do.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had forgotten about that with the transporters. Now, I think the reason people might think that is because it was the human who because there's that whole episode of
Right.
Enterprise about the human who
Yes.
quote
That
unquote
whole
invented
terrible
it. And,
episode of
yeah.
Enterprise, to be
Yes.
fair.
Well,
But
yeah.
oh,
Yes.
yes.
I think that's where
And we're gonna get hate messages for that. There's gonna be someone that says that that's their favorite episode of Enterprise. But
to
that's
each
okay.
their own. I'm not. I to be honest with you, I don't remember enough of it to offer an opinion at the moment.
Here's the thing. Zephram Cochrane invented warp drive for humans, but other people had warp drive. It's not. Yeah, that doesn't mean. Yeah, just because Edison, Emery something with an E.
Sure.
What's the name of the guy from that episode?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Because they also one neat callback I like, and I'm gonna look it up because it's gonna bug me if I don't. It is in the Discovery credits when they show it's Emery Erickson. When in the Discovery credits when they or the themes Discovery and they show the diagrams of various things, they show a transporter and they have a little thing like copyright Emery Erickson or something like
I never noticed that.
Yeah, which I think is a neat little callback in Discovery. But that doesn't mean that the Vulcans didn't also have it.
Right. I mean, if the marker of whether or not they're going to meet with a species is warp drive, then that's it. Also,
when has Star Trek ever been consistent?
No, I know.
Right. I will say we should, we should say again there. I'm sure Brandon has many thoughts about this.
I'm sure he does, and he will share them at some point. Right. So he tells the story, and I do love how he describes it, because if you don't have that connection, if you don't know, if you haven't seen that, it does kind of look like they're trying to grab your eye. It's from a perspective of someone who's never seen a Vulcan mind meld before. I thought it was interesting how quickly he accepted that. And it made me wonder if Picard has, and realizing this is not the same body, but, he has all the mental capacities. It made me wonder if Picard was able to just do a little, fix, because he did touch him, and he has participated in mind melds, and, it just, I don't know, it seemed a little too easy for me.
Yeah, a little. But it worked in a way. I felt like Picard dismissed it a little bit. Like he was just like, no, that wasn't a monster. That was a Vulcan, as if he's supposed to know how do I know a Vulcan isn't a monster?
Right. Yeah.
It works. I mean, it explains everything. I like the way he describes it. Like he was pushing into my mind, and then Picard shows him the way he would have actually done it, because Picard certainly knows what happens with the mind meld, having been through it a couple times.
Yeah. So, yeah, I wonder if we're going to see him again at all. Because I kind of got the impression he might be tagging along to facilitate something.
I think so. I think he's going to be, yes, I think he's probably going to help show up again and help out in some way.
Yeah. So, Q has this thing about all humans are trapped in the past. And then Guinan talks about how that is a positive for humanity. Okay, she says, when something inside you is broken, it stays with you. You live in the past until you're able to reconcile it. Which, like you said earlier, as soon as she said that, the first thing I thought of was Cisco saying, I exist here. And that idea of humans having this concept of linear time that I'm not going to say isn't understood by other species, but is not felt in the same way, or is not perceived in the same way. And not just wormhole aliens, but, Vulcans and Elorians and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So we have that, and we have that combined with what seems to be the great theme of the entirety of Picard, which is death is not something to fear. When we're looking at Data and we're looking at Q, both of them talk about the concept of death bringing life meaning.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm still forming thoughts on this, but I think it's very interesting.
That idea has always annoyed me. It's a constant thing in a recurring theme in sci-fi, because it happens in sci-fi a lot because, there are, things that can extend life in sci-fi. But there's a constant theme that you see over and over again that no one is meant to live forever and everyone needs to die. And it's like, that bugs me for the basic reason that we die because our bodies break down. Like, there's no... Well, I don't believe that we have, like, a cosmic purpose, which I think is probably why it doesn't matter. It bugs me. Like, I don't see this as any reason there being any legitimate reason why if we were able to prevent our bodies from breaking down, why we would have to die.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's been established in Trek and like in reality, we know that there's just some things that this is why when cells start dying and don't replenish themselves, then that's death, and
right. But but there's no reason. There's no like cosmic purpose. I don't believe anyway.
Gotcha.
There's no like reason or like there is no underlying reason that everyone must die other than the fact that that's just how we work. We die. But like, there's a common theme in sci-fi that when someone has something that gives them more immortality, there's always a catch and there's always a reason why it's bad, and people are actually meant to die and shouldn't live forever. And that has always bothered me because I feel like if we were able to figure it out, then we should live forever.
Yeah. I mean, you've just broken apart the Quinn episode of Voyager.
I mean, if someone
just fell out of my head.
Then there's the Death Wish. And that's a whole other thing, because we can get into the fact of whether if someone wants to die, should they be allowed, and that's a whole other ethical quandary that we should probably not touch.
But the whole thing about, he's had eternal life for all intents and purposes and has decided he doesn't want to anymore. But
right.
This is interesting to me in the context of the fact that we know Roddenberry was so adamantly atheist.
Yes.
Because it feels like something a religious person would say, or at least someone in the Judeo-Christian Islamic
and that's what I was
structure
touching on with like the cosmic purpose.
Like, I know.
Believe that, if you do believe that, you are here for insert deity or religious reason here, then you would want to do that. Yeah. But
because eventually you're going to meet up with them.
Right, exactly. But like, I don't personally believe in that, and I don't see any legitimate reason why we shouldn't prolong our lives forever if we can.
Population, but other than that.
Well, yeah, but then
assuming if we can
there
do
are
that,
other
we can
ways to
feed.
control population other than killing people.
Well, yes, but I'm saying it's eventually you will get to a point
Right.
where it's too much. There was an episode about that too in the original series.
Yes, and
Mark
their
of Gideon.
solution was to kill people.
Kill people. You know, I know.
Yeah.
Well, they brought up birth control in that though. Kirk did bring up birth control in that.
They brought, but they they said that it was easier, it was better to kill people than to control birth, which is absurd. But
yeah,
that was also a very odd episode.
Yes, it was. So, right. So the other thing too is that neither Data nor Q are looking at this in the concept of an afterlife. There is no mention of like, you know, I'm going to go to Q heaven or something like that, or, you know.
Well, I mean, why
heaven.
would the Q have an afterlife if they can't normally die?
Well, right, but what I'm saying is that they're imbuing the death with meaning without having that secondary, without having that factor. So that is even more like reinforcing its lack and saying
and that's the thing
eternal life is worthless.
That's the part that like I can't like personally relate to, the idea that if you don't believe in an afterlife, why would you want to die? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm rather fond of living personally.
Yeah. So this leads me to think, okay, if eternal life means that one has the time to do anything and everything, does that mean that what they do has less meaning?
No, I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, and I wouldn't either, but I think that's
there's
some of
an
the implication
infinite
here.
number of things that you can do over an infinite time. Like, I don't think you could ever truly do everything, even if you have infinite time.
Yes.
Especially if you live in a way that, like a Q, where you have the entire universe at your disposal. Like, yeah. There are infinite things that you could do for the rest of your infinite life.
And they're not, and there's meaning to them because it affects other people and other events and all of that. So I don't know where this is going with this, and I think it's interesting coming out of Patrick Stewart with this, particularly having Picard pitched and set up after he played the dying Dr. Xavier in Wolverine. Maybe it's just...
so you think he's going to die at the end of next season?
I've been saying that from the beginning.
Right.
I haven't said the only end for him is death, or he's going to become a Q. We're going to find out that the trial was a test, and he's going to be elevated the way that like Wesley was elevated. I
don't think he would want to be a Q,
or he's going to be offered it. Let's say that. Yeah,
he might be offered. I don't think he would accept.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, how different is it than Wesley being offered to become a traveler? You know, the difference is how it was presented to us. Q is the trickster god. The traveler is useful and helpful.
But also, I think Wesley wanted to be a traveler. I don't think Picard would.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially based on the things that Picard is saying about death having meaning and all that. Because, I don't see Picard except wanting to be a Q. Especially because we had that whole thing in last season where he was very relieved to hear that he had been, when he was put into an android body, that he was not going to live forever.
Yes, so, I was about to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah, I if that choice is offered to him, I think he would turn it down. Yeah,
but I don't disagree. That's always been like ever since this was announced, my thought process was
Oh, yeah.
he's dead at the end of this or he's a Q. You know.
Yeah, no, I remember because I was at STLV where they first made the
That's
announcement
right.
where Patrick Stewart walked out on stage and said that he
You
was coming
lucky
back to
bugger.
Star Trek. Yeah.
Mhm.
So like at the time, like I was in that theater next to my friend Carl, who turned to me, who was my podcast partner on my other show. He turned to me and he said, "So it's going to be like Logan, where Picard dies." I'm like, probably. And so yeah, like even all the way back then, we're like, yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. So yeah, I will not be surprised at all if that is how next season ends.
Yeah. But we'll worry about that next season. Anyway, so I threw some heavy stuff in here.
We've got some other Star Trek to watch in between now and then.
Yes, we do. Right. So I threw some heavy stuff at you, and I didn't mean to, bring down the mood.
No, it's fine, because I got to rant about one of my least favorite sci-fi tropes, so it's cool.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Right. So, canon connections. You said you had a few.
Yeah. I guess really only because we covered some of them, but the big one that I wanted to mention, which again, shout out to TrekCore, is that when Rafi and Seven are hunting down Jurati, we see graffiti in a couple different spots that say "Recall Chen." Now, Chen, as established in the DS9 episode Past Tense, which also takes place in 2024, Robert Chen was the governor of California at the time. So that is a nice little callback. We've had a bunch of Past Tense callbacks already. We had the UHC card, we had the missionary districts, etc. I mean, sanctuary districts, not missionary districts. Different things. So, but this is a neat little thing that is a deep cut, and I love that they are going that far.
Yes, I noticed that, and I meant to look it up, and then I forgot, so I'm glad that you looked. Oh, right. I was going to say about the Vulcans, because we kind of wandered off from that. I think the Vulcans are probably there. I would say the Vulcans are probably here constantly after World War II, in one form or another. To me, that makes sense. Because it's the cusp of...
Yeah, that's certainly possible. One speculation I saw on Twitter is that it was possibly 1969 and they had come after the moon landing.
Oh! Yeah, actually, you know what? And that ties well into Gary 7 and all of that.
Yeah.
So maybe you're right.
I am a little disappointed that we didn't get Mistral. I was hoping we were going to see Mistral. I mean, we still could. He stayed on Earth. He would still be alive. Vulcans live a long time.
But we could see Rain Robinson too.
Yes, I want to see Rain Robinson. She's in
60s,
LA, no less.
Yeah. It's like, hey, somebody call up Sarah Silverman.
She'd be in her 50s, I think. But yes, she was 50s, in her 20s in the 90s. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was putting her a little older, but yeah, so that's about the Vulcans. Okay. So final thoughts, bring me more.
Yeah, same final thought I've had all season. I want more. I think, as ever, serialized storytelling as opposed to episodic really works better binged than every week. I like that we get to talk about it, we get to make the theories and speculate. I like that part. I don't like the waiting a week to see more. So, yes, give me the rest of this season. We only have 2 episodes left. I'm excited.
Me too. So, Thad, where can people find you when you are not looking to energize yourself with car battery fuel cells?
Well, best place to find me is on Twitter. I'm at Tyrannicus. That's Tyranicus, where I talk about a lot of things, but mostly Star Trek. And you can also hear me on the James Bond podcast I do with my friend Carl, which is Licensed to Spiel, licensed spelled with a C. And Chrissie, where can people find you when you're not ordering 4 different kinds of cake?
Oh, cake. Cake is good. In addition, here on Infinite Diversity, you can find me on History with the Zalagis here on our BQN Podcast Collective, and that's a twice-weekly history podcast I do with my fellow historian partner, Jason. I'm also happy to chat about our shows on Twitter, and you can find me there at The Goddess Livia, that's TheGoddessLivia, where I tweet about Star Trek history and leftist politics. So, thank you very much for tuning in to Infinite Diversity. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, and please subscribe in your podcast player of choice. If you'd like to reach out, you can find our show on Twitter at IDIC Podcast. On the next episode, we'll be talking about the second to last episode of Season 2 of Picard, Hide and Seek. Until then, peace and long life.
From the point where they go back in time. What is your cat doing?
He's... Okay, there we go.
Okay.
He's going to sit on the back of the couch.
Yeah, but he was like, put his paws on the couch and took them off, put them on, put them off. Like he was like, yeah.
He
like
he
really
has
not
issues
sure
with
about
jumping.
getting up that. Got it.
He spent his first 3 months in a relatively small cage at a breeder.
Aww,
and he never quite learned how to jump as a kitten.
Aww.
So he's very, even at 13 years old, he gets worry about jumping. So even if it's onto a soft surface. So say hi.
Poor kitty.
Here's Buster. We called him John McCat for a long time because of being stuck in a cage and because we're terrible that way.
Nice.